Government did grow, actually. It grew enormously, but not right away. When did the government start to get involved in the economic affairs of individuals?
Great Depression.
During the Depression. So, considering he's writing in 1787, we do have bouts of big government, largely concerning nullification and, of course, the Civil War, which was the ultimate rejection of state sovereignty. That is exactly what the lesson was. But remember, the Civil War did not fall into the New Deal. The Civil War ends, and the New Deal is 70 years later. So what happened in between to the big government that was so scary? Why did it recede again? Why did states actually get most of the power over what to do with freed slaves and how or not to give them rights? During the Industrial Revolution, when people are leaving their homes for the first time, they're moving to cities. The economy changes completely, and the question of the role of government changes completely. If you are from a farm or you're from a small town, do you make, at that time, do you make your own things or buy them from someone you know? What happens when you move to a big city during the Industrial Revolution? Where do you buy your stuff? Who inspects it? Where did it come from? If you work in a factory, what are the conditions of your labor? These were the questions of the post-Civil War. The post-Civil War was no longer occupied with the questions of liberties and rights. That would take another literally 100 years. The dominant constitutional question was actually a very anti-federalist one. States should control the individual economic lives of its citizens. And that's what happened until the New Deal. So when the federal government tried to regulate child labor, the Supreme Court said no. Does the child cross state lines? If a child is going to work in a factory, whose authority regulates that factory? How often are children crossing state lines? If a child is never going to cross state lines, how could that be a national question? And the court said, no, you can't regulate it. You want to have a minimum wage? You want to allow unions to organize? No. These are state powers. This is between the state and the corporation. It's between the worker and the manager. It's not a national question. What changed all that? I'm sorry, Tiffany?
What representation?
Yes, representation changed, but also the nature of the country had to change too. The Constitution did not change. That's what's so hard to imagine. The same Constitution that Brutus is reading, the same Constitution that Madison and Hamilton and Jay wrote, in 1929 is the same. The things that had changed about it are obviously about slavery. If you look at the amendments, the Bill of Rights, there are lots of amendments, but they don't concern the powers of the government. That is not changed. So how do we change it then? It's got to be something else. So